introduction to a specific way of scientific thinking, specifically how we take in information about the world around us. And so I was telling a couple people that logged on earlier that I think I have a little bit better setup for being able to go through the notes with you guys today. Because yesterday I was having to do a whole bunch of back and forward stuff. But today, if I do this, and then I do this. Okay, so now I'm pretty sure I'm able to see not only the stuff that you guys are seeing at the same time as me, but also go through all the notes and stuff as well. All right. So here is our, oh wait, hold on. Wrong screen. And I want this one. All right, here we go. So today we are going to be talking about observations and inferences. So how the people in the scientific community pay attention to the world around them and use the things that they see and that they sense in order to come up with explanations for what is happening in the world. All right, so as always, while I'm going through this, you guys are free to either unmute yourself if you want to ask a question or stick a question in the chat. And I should be able to see it pretty quickly as we go through things here today. So today, all about kind of getting, if you haven't taken a science class in a minute, getting back into the way of kind of thinking scientifically, which is maybe a little bit different than the way we'd normally think about our environment. Okay. So making observations. So today I'm hopefully also going to be trying to get a little bit more kind of back and forth with you guys. So either in person or in the chat, can you guys tell me what does it mean to you to observe something? If I say that I observed something yesterday, what does that mean in your head?
To look at.
Looking is a great way of observing something. Yep, looking and seeing.
You notice something particularly?
Yeah, so you noticed something, you're watching something.
To use any of your, oh, sorry.
No, please go for it.
No, I wanted to say to use any of your five senses to like see something or whatever.
That is a great answer. So while most people do go straight to seeing something, since that's the way that we normally kind of interact with the world around us, is mostly through sight. Making observations, you can use actually any of your five senses in order to gather information about the world around you. So if you remember back from like your elementary school or like your kindergarten days, your main five senses are sight was the big one that a lot of people went to immediately, right? As humans, we're very sight-oriented creatures. We use vision as our kind of main sense. But we also have hearing and touch, as well as taste and smell. So scientists could potentially use all of these in order to gather information about the world around them. So while usually we do think of kind of sight as being observation based. It actually could be any one of your five senses. You could taste something weird in your food, or you could hear a loud noise off in the distance, and that would still be an observation that you made. So in science, we can split up observations into two kind of general categories, two different ways of observing something. One type of observation is called quantitative observation. So big fancy word, quantitative observations. So a quantitative observation is an observation that deals with numbers and amounts. So things like measurements of how tall is, how much something weighs, those are both numbers, right? Maybe that person is 6 foot 1 inch tall, or that book weighs 2.2 kilograms. Those are both numbers, right? We're dealing with numbers. We can also have amounts in our quantitative observation. So for example, there are 12 people in this Google Meet class right now. There's one teacher and 11 students. These are numbers. These are counting or measuring something. So that's what makes them quantitative observations. So I like to think of it as like quantitative is like quantity, right? If you go to the store and you're buying a certain quantity of bananas or avocados or something, you're buying a certain amount, a certain number. So that's what quantitative observations referred to, is quantities, measurements, numbers, amounts, anything like that. On the flip side of that, we could also have observations that are not based specifically on measurements and numbers. These guys are called qualitative observations. So this is when we have an observation that involves describing something that you can't really express with numbers. So, for example, color is a great example of a qualitative observation. So like my little mouse on the screen is red, and it's on a white background of a slide that has blue and purple up at the top, right? These are all qualitative observations. So we're describing qualities that an object has, whether it might be its color, if it feels a certain way. So touch is a good example of a qualitative observation, right? If something is hard versus soft, or if something is rough versus smooth, that's not really something that you can put into a number, right? You can't really describe if a thing is a certain number roughness for the most part. So qualitative is named that because it involves qualities of our world that we can't really that well express in numbers or amounts. So again, quantitative is using numbers, counting, measuring, anything where you have a number with your observation makes it a quantitative observation. So 12 people in this class. In the room that I'm sitting in, there's one TV and 10 chairs, and the chairs are probably about 2.5 feet off the ground, and the ceiling is probably 10 feet tall. All of these are quantitative observations because they have those numbers. A qualitative observation, again, means that you describe something without using numbers or amounts. So the chair that I'm sitting in right now is black, as is the computer that's in front of me. The table that my computer is sitting on is super smooth and it's hard, right? It's not soft. Taste is another good example of a qualitative observation. So if you did happen to taste or smell something, you could describe how something tastes or smells, but you can't really say, oh, that smells like a 7, right? That doesn't really make sense. We can't really put numbers to smells. So quantitative, quantity, amounts and numbers. Qualitative, quality, descriptions of our objects. Descriptions that you can't put a number or an amount on. Any questions so far about the different observations?
Hello, I just logged in. This is Ilda.
Hey, Elda. Good to see you. Thanks for joining on.
Okay, yeah. So I was open my screen and I saw the link that you posted, or the homework that you posted, the mystery footprints work. I don't understand about that.
Well, then you are in the perfect place because we're going to talk about that by the end of the class today.
Okay.
All right. So now I'm going to try doing something with you guys that should be pretty cool. We're going to make, or I'm going to have you guys make observations about the room that you're sitting in right now, whether it's in your car or in your bedroom or in your office. But instead of just sharing it in the chat or sharing it out loud here, I'm going to try something a little bit different called a Jamboard or a whiteboard. All right. All right, so I just posted a link in the chat to something called a Jamboard, which looks like this. All right, so here is our Jamboard. And so the cool thing about a Jamboard is that it works kind of similarly to like a normal whiteboard, only on your computer. And so the main and the easiest way to interact with the Jamboard is that over here on the little tab going up and down here, you have a whole bunch of different options, from drawing with a pen to using an eraser to putting in pictures and text. But the easiest one, if you want to write down information or answers, is to use the sticky note tab. So then you can write down something on your sticky note, hit save, and then click back on the Jamboard. And it'll automatically post up your sticky note onto the board, where you can move it around as needed. So it looks like a couple people were able to get into the Jamboard. Was everybody else able to see the link that got posted in the chat and get in to the Jamboard with that link?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right. So if you are able to get in to the Jamboard, what I want you guys to do is make one quantitative and one qualitative observation about the room that you are currently in. So let me see if I can change this. 1 quantitative, 1 qualitative observation of the room you are currently in.
Mr. Stanley.
Middle here for everybody to see. So if you're having trouble getting into the Jamboard, and for whatever reason you're not able to get in, you can also post your observations in the chat on the regular Google Meet. All right, chair and a desk in my office. That is a great example of a qualitative observation, right? You have a description with no numbers or amounts. And then a good quantitative observation up here. I have 2 cases of water in the dining room. So go ahead and take a couple more minutes and put some observations on either the Jamboard up here using that sticky note tool up on the side, or you can also put them in the chat if that works easier for you.
Hello, it's Larissa. I just
Hey, Larissa. Welcome, welcome, Larissa. Thanks for being here. Good to see you.
I have a question.
Yes. Oop, are you still there, Raquel? I didn't hear your question. If you're having trouble with your microphone, you can also type your question in the chat if that works better for you. Hey, Breeze, no worries. I know some people's internet goes in and out sometimes. So if you happen to drop and then have to come back in, that is totally fine by me.
What's the assignment we're working on right now?
All right, so we were talking about observations with quantitative observations are the observations using numbers or amounts, and qualitative observations are using descriptions like color or size or taste or smell, something like that. So currently I'm having people either on the Jamboard, if you're able to access it using the link that's in chat, or posting directly into the chat. I want you guys to make 1 quantitative and 1 qualitative observation about wherever you are right now. So like, for example, we have some good examples on our Jamboard here. And if you're just getting on the Jamboard right now, the sticky note button over here is one will allow you to post these little sticky notes on the board.
I'm not gonna have you around here touching my stuff. You can work with me here, but not touching.
Mr. Stanley,
Yes.
my computer completely just shut down. It's rebooting. And I'm on my phone now, but I'm not sure how to get to the Jamboard with my phone.
Are you able to open the Google Meet chat on your phone?
I'm sure.
There's also a app, Google Jam app. That's what I'm on right now.
Oh, I probably have to download it then.
That's okay. If you want to just post the your observations in the chat itself, that works fine as well. All right, hold on. I'm gonna change it so that other people can get in a little bit easier. All right, now it should be that anybody that clicks on the link should be able to get in.
Is this an assignment or what is this?
This is just something that we're doing in class, partially to get people used to using the Jamboard. It's something I'm going to try to do from time to time during our class periods, just to make things like a little bit more interactive. So it's not just me sitting here talking and you guys listening.
Okay.
All right, so let's see what some of these observations are. So over here we have, you're in the dining room and you got 2 cases of water on your dining room table. So that is a great quantitative observation because they mention the 2 cases of water. Another person's in their dining room and they have some great qualitative observations about with having a table that's large and the table is hard, but the chair they're sitting in is soft. Those are perfect qualitative observations. They don't use any sort of numbers or amounts. They just describe the qualities of those objects. Qualitative have red flowers in my room and 4 books on the dresser. For quantitative, exactly. Perfect examples of the 2 different types of observations. And then 2 monitors at your desk. Ooh, nice. Someone's got a fancy desk. And a whole bunch of different colored pens and markers. Also excellent quantitative and qualitative observations here. You have 1 dog and a bag of chips on your desk. So again, quantitative, where we have 1 specific dog and 1 bag of chips. And then chat, we've got Crystal says that she's in a room with a whiteboard and 3 notebooks, and that the desktop that she is by is granite. So it's probably really hard and smooth. So excellent. These are all great examples of quantitative and qualitative observations. Very good. So I'll try to use the Jamboard here and there as we go throughout this term. Like I was saying to Fernando, just to try and make things a little bit more interactive with you guys and to kind of check and make sure everybody's on the same page with these interactions. So let me see. Oh, that's easier. Oh, Raquel mentions that she's got 4 people in her living room and she is sitting next to a big blue fluffy blanket and there's a smell of coffee coming from the kitchen. Excellent examples of both quantitative and qualitative observations. So, oh man, I love blueberry muffins. They're so good. All right, so I'll actually come back to this Jamboard in a little bit. But first, we're going to switch back to our notes. Okay. And then, sweet. All right. So after taking in all of these different observations, all these different things that you're seeing or smelling or tasting in the world around you, you can then use them to make some inferences. So an inference is an explanation of the things that you have observed. So we use our observations in order to make inferences. And so an inference is sort of like a explanation or a guess about either what you think is currently happening or what you think is about to happen. So it's how you explain the different things in the world around you based on the things that you see, hear, smell, touch, and taste. So an inference comes from your observation. So for example, for the past couple days, right, the sky was dark and cloudy and it was really, really gross outside. And so if you observe dark skies, cold weather, clouds covering the sun, then your inference might be that a storm is coming, right? It's not quite raining on you right yet, so you're not 100% sure that it's going to storm, but it was a little bit lighter earlier and all of a sudden it got dark. A whole bunch of these dark clouds rolled in. Maybe you can hear some thunder coming off from the distance. So all of these different observations, seeing the darkness, seeing the clouds, hearing the thunder, feeling the drop in temperature, all might lead you to the inference that there is going to be a storm coming on its way. All right, so we used these observations in order to create our inference. So I want you guys to try this. We're going to go back to the Jamboard in order to do this. And a couple people, you already told me what room that you're in, but pretend that you didn't do that. Pretend somebody just plopped you into the room that you're in right now, but you had no idea how you got there. What is an inference that you could make about what type of room you are currently in your house based on your observations of the room around you? So for example, I observe lots of desks and lots of chairs and a big whiteboard up at the back of the class and some textbooks over in the corner. That's what I observed. So I would make an inference that I am in a classroom, right? I'm using my observations in order to make that inference. So we're going to go back to the Jamboard. You can use the exact same link that I posted from earlier, or if you still have it up, you can do that too. And we're going to make a new screen. So if you go up here to the top, we're going to go to screen number 2. So make sure you're on 2 of 2 up here at the top. And so I want to know, how could you infer what type of room you are in? So obviously, you know yourself if you're in your bedroom or your dining room or your kitchen or your bathroom, although I hope nobody's in their bathroom while they're doing this. But if you took somebody who had never been in your house before and put them where you're sitting right now, how could they figure out what type of room that they are in? All right, some good examples so far. Again, if you just hopped onto the Jamboard, we are on the second page, so you can switch between them with the little arrows up at the top. Or if the Jamboard's not working for you and you'd rather put your answers into the normal Google Meet chat, you can do that as well. Let's see. Dang it. The other cool thing about the Jamboard is that you can make your sticky notes look like actual sticky notes posted up on the side. You can change like the color or the curvature of them. All right, make this one bigger too. Doop, 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 doop. All right, some great examples so far. So keep them coming if you haven't gotten a chance to write it down yet. Again, how could somebody infer what type of room they were in if you blindfolded them and took them into your house where you're at and then took the blindfold off? If somebody had never been in that room before, how could they tell that it's a bedroom or a dining room or a kitchen? Alrighty, so let's see here. We've got a huge big room with a table and 4 chairs. Would suggest to me that you're in some sort of dining room, whoever put the orange one down. Okay, I can already tell which one is Victoria's here. Lights on the wall, candles in the background, very mellow space. I don't know, Victoria, I always think that your room looks like a party room, but if that's what's mellow for you, that's fine. This one might be my favorite so far. Dresses in the closet, heels on the floor, lashes on the table would suggest that you are in a girl's room. So it would indeed. Yellow sticky note. Let's see. Crystal has a desk and whiteboard and notebooks and a laptop in her room, which would lead to the inference that it's probably some sort of home office. Great. Raquel has a stove and fridge and microwave and pots and pans, which would lead to the inference that she's probably in her kitchen. Larissa has dining tables and chairs and glassware and some salt and pepper shakers out by her, which would suggest to me that she is in her dining room. So this is how we take our observations and turn them into inferences. Again, observations are just what we can see, touch, taste, smell, or hear. Just the things that we pick up on in the world around us. Our inferences are what we do with that information, how we use that information in order to determine explanations for the world around us, whether that's how we can explain what type of room that we're in, or how we can explain what type of weather we think is on the way. All right, great examples, everyone, and thanks for playing along with the Jamboard. The only annoying thing about it is that every time that I want to go back to the notes, I have to close the Jamboard and then go back to the Google Meet and then go back in and open up the notes. Then I got to do this and then do, oops, that's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted, and then go back here. Okay. There we go. All right, so we used our observations in order to explain or make inferences about the world around us. So, making these observations and turning them into inferences is kind of the purpose behind the assignment that got posted up for your daily assignment for today. So on the assignment, it either had the images there or said to go back to these notes to look at these images. So we have 3 different pictures that kind of build off of one another, and it's the mystery footprints assignment. So going in, all we know is that we're looking at pictures of footprints. And so for the assignment, what I want you guys to do is look at each image and come up with 3 observations and 1 inference for each image. All right, so you're going to be writing these observations and inferences down either on the Google Classroom or on the Google form or on the Google Doc that got posted up there. So the 3 different images are as follows. And again, if you do the Google form version, these images are posted up there as well. So we have this first image right here. And then we have the Second image, image 2, is the one in the middle here. And then image 3 is this last image over here. So for the assignment for each one of these 3 images, 1, 2, and 3, I want you guys to write down 3 observations, so 3 things that you can observe just by looking at this image. And then 1 thing that you can infer that you think you can explain about what's going on by looking at the different parts of the image. So, like I said, if you do it on the Google Form version, it already has the images posted up there for you. So for each image, you write down 1, 2, 3 observations and an inference, and so on and so forth. Or if you'd rather do the Google Doc version, the images aren't posted on here, so you have to go back to the notes in order to look at them. But you would do the same thing on here. So you have your 3 different observations and 1 inference for each one of the images. There we go. All right. So I figured just to kind of help you guys get started, and as a bonus for you guys for sticking around to the end of our presentation here, that we could do this first one together here in order to kind of get you guys on the right page and in the right mindset for the assignment for tonight. So we'll kind of do the first one together, and then I'll let you guys do the second one on your own, or the second and third one for the assignment on your own. So here is our first image. So look at it, think about it for a few seconds, and then in about a minute or so, we'll share what some people's different observations are, and then talk about what some good inferences could be. Alrighty, so either out loud or in the chat, what are some observations that people have about this image?
There's 2 different animals.
All right, well, yeah, well, we can say that there's 2 different footprints, right? Obviously, we know they're footprints from something. We don't know what exactly. But yeah, so these 2 different sets of footprints are not the same. Great observation, Victoria. Other observations, what's something else that you can observe in this picture?
They are different colors.
Yes, different colored footprints. So one of them is green. That's a good observation. One of them is, some people say red, some people say pink, sort of like a fuchsia-y color. But yeah, so we have not only different sets of footprints, we have different colors of footprints. Raquel points out that we also have different sizes of footprints. The green footprints are bigger than the red ones. Another excellent observation. Since this is just a picture, pretty much our only sense that we can use to make observations is vision, sight, using our eyes. So yes, we can see that they're different. We can see that they are red and green, and we can see that the green ones are bigger than the red ones. Larissa points out that they look like they run into each other. So yes, they are going in different directions, right? This green one is heading up and to the right, and this red one is heading down and to the right. So they're not going in the same direction, they're going in different directions. Veronica says one starts to take bigger strides than the other. So yep, our green footprints are a little bit more spread out at the end compared to our red footprints, which are both the same size. So these are all excellent examples of observations, things that we can observe just by looking at the pictures. So what is an inference that you have about this picture? What do you think is going on just based on this one picture?
They will eventually cross paths.
Great inference, Crystal. Yeah, it does look like if they keep going the way they're going to connect with one another. Good inference. Raquel, you're jumping a little bit ahead. We're just looking at this first picture right here. Other inferences, what else do you think is happening with these different footprints? It could be anything, any explanation of why you think these footprints are here looking the way that they do.
The red are like almost together as opposed to the blue ones, kind of like spread out a little bit.
So that is more of an observation. That's something that you see, but what's a possible explanation for why maybe the red ones are closer together and the green ones are farther apart? And this could be anything.
Could be running and maybe walking faster.
Yeah, so maybe one is moving faster than the other one. Maybe the green started running at the end. I like Veronica's explanation in the chat. Looks like the green ones are trying to creep up on the red ones. That's another good inference, right? Obviously, we can't know for sure what caused these footprints to be here. But maybe, yeah, maybe the green one is hunting the red one. You could also try to infer what type of animal do you think made these footprints? That's not a rhetorical question. I want you guys to guess. What animals do you think made these footprints? A crocodile and a duck.
A duck.
I can see it. Yeah, I've heard duck for sure.
Maybe a deer.
Maybe they don't really look like hoof prints. The green ones are a little bit closer to hoof prints, maybe.
The pink ones might be like a squirrel or something.
Yeah, the red ones definitely could be like a squirrel or maybe like a mouse or something like that. Mice have kind of small, pointy feet. So all of these are great examples of inferences because we can't know for sure which animals made these tracks or why these tracks look the way that they do, like why this one got more spread out. But based on what we know about how footprints are made and what the different feet of different animals look like, we can make inferences about what we think is the best explanation for how these footprints came to be here. And so that was the first picture that we kind of did together, but I want you guys on your own to do the assignment for those next two pictures. And so again, for each one, pictures 1, 2, and 3, on the assignment, you're going to make 3 observations and 1 inference about what you see in that picture. Alrighty. Any final questions about observations, inferences, or the assignment for tonight?